How big is your social inheritance? And why may it be that you don't want it? Most individuals' current code of conduct with their mate is far from optimal in serving your relationship, and it was instilled in them as part of your social inheritance. In essence, it's your frame of reference based on personal experiences and observations of your parents and other intimate relationships in your life. These rules of engagement, if you will, run similar to the operating system on your computer, but with a lot more bugs. It's the default program that takes over without thoughtful consideration. Most of us never think about why we think what we think or why we do what we do. I had a friend who grew up in a house where everyone screamed at each other. She went on to scream at her son in times of frustration, and he would scream back. In their household, this behavior was normal and acceptable, but can you imagine how his conduct for dealing with problems will be for his future bride? I worked with a man who married a woman that grew up in a household where the fights were mean. In essence, it was a no-holds-barred when argument ensued. She would yell obscenities with the intent to wound her partner because that was her frame of reference when fighting with siblings. Couldn't guess how this could erode the amorous feelings they once experienced the day they said "I do." Or you might choose to act consistent with how your close friends handle disagreements, but this isn't necessarily an optimal way to behave. It's just an option, and may not be a good one at that. Your social inheritance makes it a necessity to create a code of conduct that you abide by even when emotions are riding high, ideally in advance of stormy waters. Before I was married, my grandfather-in-law sat me and my groom down for some invaluable advice. He said, "Decide now how you're going to resolve disputes." He was advising us to create rules of engagement. Or maybe a simpler way is to think about it as my dad used to tell it. Make a rule to think win-win. When you disagree, commit to creating options that you both can be mutually enthusiastic about. At first, it will be extremely intellectual by filtering your thoughts and governing your feelings with your head and willpower, but the code of conduct in and of itself will come from the heart. All of us know the right thing to do if we get in touch with our heart, our true North Star. It's the inner knowing that comes from God is within us. God speaks to us all the time. It's that still small voice that gets louder and louder the more we heed to it, but softer and softer it will whisper if you ignore it. 1 Corinthians 6:19 tells us that God resides in us. Quote, "Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own," unquote. Once the habit of doing the right thing is established, this will become easier, similar to working out a weak muscle. At first, it's challenging, but with practice, a new behavior emerges and replaces the old. You are now establishing a new code of conduct, a new set point, a new standard. You're literally rewriting the book of your future, circumventing the hard feelings you were destined to create, and you're breaking the chains of your past and creating a legacy for your children, substituting higher standards for lower ones. The more you subordinate your interests to principles, substitute the present feeling for the future well-being of your relationship, commit to replace the serving of yourself for serving of your marriage, the more rapidly a new set of behaviors emerges becomes the new standard, the new norm, creating the ultimate environment for your marriage to thrive.